back. This is Wild One, and we just wrapped up Objective 1. We now are on Objective 2. No one can hear you scream. The objective is to block the ventilation shafts. Well, the ventilation shafts are right here. So, how are we going to block them? Well, hopefully we will find out soon enough when we get to the Objective 2 hive deck. If you do the math, we've done 10 turns, and there should be 11 cards in the Objective hive deck for Objective 1, because there's 9 plus the 2 drone cards. So with 10 turns completed, that means we've pulled 10 hive cards off there. We haven't had any special effects or anything that drew extra hive cards. So there's 2 here for a total of 12, which means it's extremely likely that this is the last hive card for Objective 1, and that's the first one for Objective 2. Because we found the part of the SOS here, that was probably it. I think it was the 11th and final card, which means whatever is here, I can guarantee what is under here, and that would be the hazard. And we haven't talked about the hazard yet, but I believe we're going to on this turn. So this would be the turn to do it. So let's go ahead and start turn 11 for our scout. As I had mentioned at the end of the last video, both the scout and the synthetic have some abilities that we'll be able to chain finally. So we're going to play the scout to draw a card, and it's another specialist. Not surprising, still kind of early in the game. I know it's 10 turns in, we're on turn 11, but we just wrapped up Objective 1, so we're only through the first third of the game. So we played this card. We'll be able to scan any room for free. I don't want to forget that. The other thing I don't want to forget is that we need to advance the hive here. So, and the cards that I'm holding up here are the 2 that I had mentioned before. The Quarantine Procedure, which has 1 attack, allows me to look at the top of the player's deck, of any player's deck, and then I can kill that card or put it back. When I mentioned the Chest Burster in the last video, this is probably, I believe, the only way, at least in the alien scenario, to kill the Chest Burster. If you were lucky to have the Chest Burster as the top card of your or your opponent's deck, and you also have this card, then you have the opportunity to kill it. Very, very unlikely. But it is basically your last hope once you've acquired a Chest Burster. Let's go ahead and do this one first. We're going to go ahead and take advantage of this ability. We're definitely playing this card regardless, but let's go ahead and take care of this. So, which deck should we look at? I have a feeling this is probably going to be a grunt or a specialist, and if it is, we're definitely going to want to kill it. So we're going to look at this one. It's a specialist. We definitely want to kill this card. So, Quarantine Procedure, deck thinning ability, this is it right here. We place it over here in the deck characters designated area, and we've thinned our deck. We've removed one of those weak specialists with only 1 recruit point, because we're replacing them with cards that have more than 1 recruit point. And we want to stop pulling so many specialists on our turn. Alright, so since we played this card, and it has the intel symbol in the corner, we can now play Captain of the Ship, which has the special ability that because we played this card, we can now activate this ability, which turns this from what is normally simply a 2 attack card into a 4 attack card, which is awesome. So now we have 5 attack. So let's go back to the other cards we had here, our recruitment cards, because let's take care of purchases first. We have the You Have Your Orders card, which allows us to look at the top 2 cards of the barracks, so we're going to do that. And both of these are equally good, I think, really. I mean, this one has Coordinate, but this has got that really awesome ability. I feel like we need to take advantage of it. It's also helpful to have Survival if we run into cards that allow us to heal players, because the Survival class is the class that's related to healing players, and we need to heal the synthetic of his 4 damage over there due to that Somebody Help card that really stunned me when I pulled it. I think we're going to go for captain of the ship on top, because I think we're really going to want some attack, some serious attack ability. But what it means though is that the scout should be the one to get that because it is intel. So now on to purchasing. We have 5 points to spend. We have the motion detector here, which is really the only thing that I could purchase, and it's worth 3. We were really trying to load the synthetic up on tech though, and I don't really have many, if any, tech cards in the scout's deck, so this would not be particularly useful other than the 2 recruitment points. So what I think I want to do instead is purchase a sergeant, and if I'm fortunate I'll get the other, I believe the sergeant I have has an intel symbol. We might get a sergeant that either has an intel or leadership symbol on here. Like I had said before, there are 10 sergeants in here, and the only difference is the class symbol in the upper left corner. There are 10 cards, so there's 2 for each of the 5 class symbols in here. So let's go ahead and spend 3 to buy the sergeant, and we'll dump the other 2. So, and he has tech. Unfortunately, that's not worthwhile for us. We may as well have just bought Lambert's motion detector. But again, you can't draw this in advance to make a decision. You have to draw once you've committed to purchasing the card. So we've committed to buying this sergeant. And that really takes care of our recruitment points because we don't have anything that we can purchase for 2. We're definitely going to want the synthetic to buy this, which will put the intel card out for the scout to buy on his turn. So now we have this. We have the ability to scan our room for free, and we have this for 5 attack. I feel like I know what's in here. I'm about 99% sure this is a hazard. And I feel like I want to scan a different room. With 5 attack, I should go ahead and spend 4 to scan the ventilation shafts. So we'll do that. We'll spend 4 by 5 to scan what's here. And, ooh, it's our first actual enemy that we can fight. This is a noxious xenomorph. There it is right there. It's out of the drone deck, I believe. Yes, it is part of the drone deck. You can tell, if we get in really close, you can tell here in the corner that it says drone deck. When you reveal this, players have -1 health this turn. It costs 4 attack to kill. Thankfully it's in the ventilation shafts and it will take a while to make its way across. The disadvantage of this, of course, if there were aliens here that could cause strikes and we'd have to draw for them, it could kill us. The synthetic has 7 health, so technically he has 6 health right now. The medic has 6 health, so technically he has 5 health right now. But if you had a character that was down to 1 health, this card will have just killed him, because it is a reveal effect. It will have immediately killed that character. I'm sorry, the player. So there's not much else we can do. You know what? I was just thinking, idiot that I am, with my 5 attack and I can scan a room for free. Let's backtrack a little bit, if you'll forgive me. We're scanning that room for free. We would have scanned that room for free. So I still have the 5 attack. We should use the 4 to kill it. I think that's a great idea. So let's use the 4 of the 5 attack that we have here to kill that thing and get it out of the way. So it's dead. Sayonara, noxious xenomorph. Alright. Again, I missed an almost missed an opportunity there. That was unfortunate. If I had completely missed that opportunity, definitely want to do something about that. So, strike phase, nothing in the combat zone that can hit us. Time for cleanup. So, we draw our 6 cards, and we only have 4. Now we have a much bigger deck to shuffle. And I will probably, because the decks are kind of thick, it takes a little while to shuffle them. I'm going to cut some of this down So it may look like to you that I've only shuffled it maybe twice, when in fact I've shuffled it quite a lot, I promise, but I'm just trying to save a little time in the video and try to keep this from dragging out. So let's see if we drew any coordinate cards. We were just speaking of first aid, survival. I did not draw a survival card. That's really sad. There was an opportunity. I drew the scout again. It's very interesting that I pulled the scout roll card. I just had it. I do get to draw a card, and it's hopeful that I will draw a survival card. If I do, then I get to use this ability. The synthetic was the one who was sort of the keeper of the survival strategy. But I do have a coordinate, so we're probably going to use this because I don't have anything I can chain it with. So this actually will allow us to draw another card, and then, actually, you know what? We should use the tech one. Because I drew the tech one, the one that I didn't like in particular. So we're definitely going to use this, I believe, on the synthetic's turn. I think this will be useful. So that's turn 11. We go to turn 12. Pull a card from the hive. Again, I'm kind of trying to maintain my memory of things. Again, I believe that's the hazard. We have our versatile programming, which allows me to draw a card. I drew the motion detector. I have 2 motion detectors. Now, these can chain. This is the great part about this. All I needed was this one here. So this one allows me to do both. Actually, any card that I have that has this. I just need one at the start to be able to do it. If I had this alone and this one, I could use this one to use this ability, but I can't go in reverse because you have to play this card first, and then you can use the effect here in the corner. So it's really about order of play, which doesn't really come into effect very often, and we just kind of think of it as a second-hand thing. We're just kind of throwing cards out there, but it's really important to keep that in mind when you're playing cards, that it does matter what order you play the cards in. And when you're playing the cards, of course, you're creating a pool. So we have quite a few cards here for recruitment. 3 for attack. Put the attack cards out of the way for a second. So we need to keep in mind, we need to remember that we can scan rooms here. And then we need to remember the medic has this guy, the sergeant. Another tech card, by the way. So like I had said before, when you play a coordinate card like this, the player who is accepting the coordinate gets a copy, which means they also get the symbol in the corner. So we're going to play the coordinate. I think we've got all sorts of recruitment power here. We can get some big stuff. I feel like we want to get It's a Damn Robot. That's a really big one. So we have 6, 8 recruitment points, and I cannot pass up the opportunity to do this. So we're going to take It's a Damn Robot because this will come in very useful later. If you recall in the movie, Ash turns on the crew, and this is particularly useful against synthetics. So let's look at this really closely here. It actually tells you here that it is also a coordinate card, but it gives you 4 attack just right off the bat. That's really awesome. But if you fight a synthetic enemy, it gets -4. We haven't really talked about what happens when you subtract attack, but it's pretty straightforward. You just take whatever the cost is to kill it and remove this number. So you could actually announce an attack and not spend any attack points in your pool and be able to kill an enemy with this card with 4 attack or less without actually having to do anything. And then you can spend this 4 attack on something else if you want to. In this case, it only works with synthetics. We're buying this card. And now we get the card that I was hoping to see, because I placed it at the top of the deck for the scouts. So since we used the coordinate card to assist in that, the scout gets to draw a 6th card. Is it a survival card? It is not. It is a grunt. But because we have the scout's reconnaissance, we'll get to draw another maybe we can pull a survival card. We have 3 attack. We have the ability to scan 2 rooms. It's just really great. I know what's in here, and I really kind of want to avoid it right now because I know what'll happen. But at the same time, I want to show you what will happen. So this almost seems like a good time to do it, but I'd like to keep the complex where it is. So I'm going to scan, we're going to hang on to the 3 attack because we might want to use it to kill whatever pops up. So I've got two free scans. I am going to use those 2 free scans, one of them to scan the ventilation shafts. Oh my god, I pulled a hazard. So this is interesting. I know that there's a hazard here, so I know what that one's going to do. I may have shot myself in the foot here. Let's talk about hazards and how they work. So there's 1 hazard in every objective hive deck. So there are 3 there. So there's a hazard in objective 1. We have entered into objective 2, and you can tell that because right on the bottom here it says no one can hear you scream. So we are now in objective 2. We have entered the objective 2 hive deck. So the other hazard, the first hazard, is here. But it doesn't matter that this came from objective 2. All that matters is the order that the hazards are revealed. So if we look at the Nostromo here, we can read off what these different hazards are. We have hazard 1 here. Brought something back. Add 2 hive cards to the complex. That's what we're going to do right now. The second hazard is it's loose. Put the top card of the hive into the combat zone. Neither one of these are particularly horrible. The first one's kind of bad because it's more likely that we're going to get a card to spill over into the combat zone. Hazard 3 is, as you can see, kind of a big one here. I have to back up a little bit so I can show you the whole hazard text. And it's self-destruct. You leave the hazard card face up where it was revealed. It moves like an enemy. And when it reaches the combat zone, you discard it and each player draws 3 strikes. That's really, really bad. And it's likely we're going to hit it before we finish the game. So we'll want to keep it in the complex and then try to get rid of it. Getting rid of it is down here. We use recruitment points to purchase a lot of characters or crew members out of the crew deck from the barracks, but there are other ways you can spend recruitment points, and this is one of them. If you can be fortunate enough to have 8 recruitment points in one hand, you can spend that 8 to disarm the self-destruct, which means discarding the hazard card. Normally, hazards are just simply discarded. That hazard 3 is a special case. So this hazard is discarded, but we activate the effect of the hazard. So I'm going to put the hazard over in the discarded hazards and events designated location over here. Hazard 1 told us to add 2 hive cards to the complex. So we'll do this 1 card at a time. First card comes in, fills the ventilation shafts. Now we have to add a second card, so we need to slide these down. And now we have 2 in the complex. Not a particularly terrible hazard, but if we'd had a full complex, it could have been bad. We would have revealed several cards into the combat zone. And since I know what that one is, it would have been really bad because hazards can chain. So one hazard, while you're trying to fulfill the effect of one hazard, another hazard may be exposed. And then you have to resolve that hazard immediately, even if you haven't finished resolving the first hazard. It gets pretty crazy when that happens. And I've had that happen a couple times that I've played where hazard 2 resulted in hazard 3 being exposed. So hazard 2 tells you to add the top card of the hive into the combat zone. And it turned out the top card of the hive was the 3rd hazard card. So it came directly into the combat zone, and because it entered the combat zone, it had to be immediately discarded, and I had to draw 3 strikes for every player. And unfortunately that killed one of the players. Ultimately I lost that one. We resolved that hazard. That was one of our 2 free scans. That was a really kind of a bummer of a free scan. So we're going to use our second free scan to scan those ventilation shafts again, now that they've been repopulated. And this is what I was looking for, the ventilation seal. There it is. The text reads that it has a reveal effect. On reveal, you attach it to the ventilation shafts. While this room is clear, pay 2 recruitment points to discard this card and block the room. By blocking it, what you're actually doing is what it says here in italics. And you just leave this card here face up, so it'll just sit there in the ventilation shaft. So we revealed it, the ventilation seal, and it goes right here. So blocking the ventilation shafts is the goal of Objective 2. All we have to do is pay 2 recruitment points. Unfortunately, we spent all our recruitment points. We had, what did we have? We had 6, 8, and I spent 7. Oh, if I'd only had 1 more recruitment point, I would have been able to resolve Objective 2 immediately. So we've used our second free scan. We still have 3 attack here. I think we should use the 3 attack to scan the power station. Again, I know what's here. I'm afraid of revealing that hazard. Right now it's just putting the top card of the hive in the combat zone, so it might not be that bad. But there's something that I know. There is a character card in that Objective Hive deck, and it's in Objective 2, and we're in Objective 2 right now. And it's important that I prevent that card from entering the combat zone. So I'm going to try and do everything I can to stop that from happening. Hopefully it won't happen before we find the card. So we're going to use the 3 attack to scan the power station. And it's a skittering xenomorph. At this point in the movie, the chest burster has revealed itself, killing one of the crew members, and skitters off. And after skittering off is growing. So what we're doing here basically is defeating this. It takes 3 attack to defeat it. We used 3 attack to expose it. Unfortunately, the special ability of this is that at the end of each turn, if this alien is in the complex, you must turn it face down, which means you have to pay attack to reveal it again. So the turn's going to end without me being able to get rid of it. I've used my 3 attacks, so I've used all of my cards. Nothing in the combat zone, nothing to strike me. I'm going to discard my hand. Draw up to 6, I can only draw 2, so I need to shuffle. I need to shuffle my deck here and do this all over. Get us back up to 6. Right. There are 6 cards. Wow, I pulled all of the crappy ones. That's very sad. That was turn 12. We're ready for turn 13. Starting off with the scout. We've now covered the ventilation seal. So the location, as it said on the card, the room has to be clear. The ventilation seal itself does not prevent the room from being cleared. So our scout should probably try to do whatever he can to get rid of what's in that room. And since he's got his reconnaissance card, we can scan the room and then hopefully be able to kill whatever's in there. So there's the other coordinate card. We have a lot of recruitment points, which is helpful. We've got some grunts here, some attack. We don't have a lot of attack, we have a lot of recruitment, which is good. So what we're wanting to do is scan the room for free, hope that, oh, I forgot, because the skittering xenomorph was still alive at the end of the turn, still in the combat zone. It needs to be turned back face down. So You just have to remember that it's there. And I know what's here. This is the other hazard. So we have nothing really special other than you have your orders. We can look at the top two cards of the barracks. Because of leadership and intel, we wanted to spend money on this one, so we wanted to get that one. You Are My Lucky Star is a very good card. And we have 7. It's a very sad thing, but I have 7 and I can buy this card. But this is one of those situations where maybe I should reveal the room first to see what happens and then make a decision later. Normally I like to spend my recruitment points before I start scanning rooms in case things go bad, but here's a situation where we need to spend recruitment points to achieve an objective. So with the 7 I have, I think I'm going to hold on to them. Let's go ahead and do the You Have Your Orders though. We get to look at the top 2 cards of the barracks. There's another quarantine procedure. Review the nav data, very good card. The quarantine procedure, again, that's the deck thinning card. Now that we're kind of getting close to finishing objective 2, we really need to start accumulating some attack. This is also a leadership card, so it's appropriate. It makes sense for the scout to buy it, since we're trying to focus on leadership and intel. I say we put the Review the Nav data on the top, and put our deck thinning card on the bottom. Bottom of the barracks. So, like I said, we're going to do the free scan on the ventilation shafts. Let's see what's here. It's another skittering xenomorph, and unfortunately I don't have 3 attack to kill it. So it's going to stay here. We know there's one here and there's another one here. We are stuck in an abysmal position here. Well, since I can't clear the room, I say let's go for broke. Let's take the 7 that we've got here and buy the most expensive card we can. So there's several of them. We've got the Review the Nav data. There's actually 2 of them and now a 3rd one on the top of the deck over here. But it would be really nice to get this survival card. As much as we want to have those. The survival card is very nice. This has an effect that's different than what we've seen before. We've had effects that aren't triggered by class symbols. We've had effects that are. This one is special. It is an effect triggered by a crew symbol. So there's Ellen Ripley in her spacesuit from the end of the movie there, singing You Are My Lucky Star. And it does 3 damage normally, but there's the Weyland-Yutani symbol there, and it says avoid the next strike you would draw this turn. It's a very nice card. The Weyland-Yutani symbol, it's just like the class symbols. All you need to do is you need to have a crew card in your hand that's the Weyland-Yutani crew. So all of these, any of these can be used to trigger this one. You just need to play them before you play this one. So as long as you don't have a handful of grunts and specialists, you should have a Weyland-Yutani card that allows you to activate the effect here. Very useful later when there are enemies in the combat zone and you're trying to avoid strikes. So we're going to purchase this one for 6. And we're going to review the nav data. Now we have 3 of these in here. Getting awful crowded with Lambert cards. There are 4 Lambert cards out here and 1 Dallas card. And 3 of the Lambert cards are the I believe the only 3 of that type. This is Lambert's second most, her uncommon card. So like I said at the beginning, there's 2 sets of 5 common cards, and then there are 3 of these uncommon cards, and then 1 rare / legendary card. And we haven't seen Lambert's yet, I don't believe. So I think we're done. There's not much else we can do. So we're going to end the turn of the scout. He'll draw up to 6. I believe we're wrapping up turn 13 here and moving on to turn 14. Again, let's look at this. This is great. So we again have the ability to chain the intel cards here. So we've got the deck thinner plus the turning this 2 attack into a 4 attack. It'll be great for the scout on his turn. Fortunately, he has no coordinate cards, so we're going to have to put that down. And now, it's the Avatar's turn. I won't forget this time that this is skittering Xenomorph because he's still alive, or he's still in the complex. I have to turn him back face down. We now know there are 2 skittering Xenomorphs and a hazard. We don't know what's here. It's, I believe, the first or second card probably of the second objective. And hopefully it's not the one I'm thinking of. If it's the character card, then we might be in trouble here. So the synthetic isn't going to be able to do very much. This is not good. We only have 5 recruitment points. That hazard's going to pop. It's going to be really, really unfortunate if we end up losing the character that I would love for us to grab a hold of. So, beginning of the turn, hive phase, all the cards slide. Here's one of our skittering Xenomorphs here, and here's another skittering Xenomorph. And the next card goes on top of the ventilation seal. Our synthetic is powerless this turn. He's got a grunt with 1 attack. 5 recruitment points. We can buy captain of the ship. We can spend 3 on motion detector, which again, since he's favoring tech, it's probably good for him to buy the motion detector and just sacrifice the other 2. So we'll do that. We'll buy the motion detector here. Let me get the "You Are My Lucky Star" card, and there's nothing else he can do. So as we move into turn 15 here, we're going to see what happens when a full complex is hit by a hive card. Here we go. This will be fun. Like I said, I'm about 99% sure what's about to pop. And I read off earlier about what the hazards are. So hazard 2 is called "It's Loose," and you put the top card of the hive into the combat zone, and hopefully it's not a card that I'm thinking of. Here we go. So we are going to start the scout's turn. Now he has 1, 2, and like I said, this is 4, so he has 6 attack, 7 attack. He has 2 recruitment points, so he doesn't have much in the way of recruitment points to do anything. But he's got 7 attack here, which is great. And he also has a look at the top card. I think we're going to go ahead and do this part. I say that we take a look at the synthetics draw pile. Since the last time we did it for the scout, let's do it for the synthetic this time and see what the synthetic's top card is. It's a specialist, so we're going to kill it. Let's kill that thing. So brutal. So rude, killing the specialist. He didn't do anything wrong. All he did was give us some recruitment points. He was a good guy, just taking up space. You could think of it as firing him as opposed to killing him, even though in a sense we've actually killed him. Now, I already took that step. I shouldn't have done that, but it probably won't have an effect on what I decide to do, because I would have done this anyway. But what I should have done was do the hive phase first. So I'm doing things out of order. I really need to do this first. So we need to put a hive card there, but we can't. We can't put one here, 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 here. So we need to clear the airlock. So we got to bring this into the combat zone. Guess which card it is? Oh wow, I was wrong. That means that this card is the hazard. Here I thought I had the count right. It's an egg. Well, that's fine. Egg will be easy to kill. I have all this attack to do it. So now we get to slide all these down. Again, we know these 2 are skittering Xenomorphs. Nothing to worry about really there. There are only 3 to kill. But the egg, it's in the combat zone, but it doesn't move or strike, so it's just going to sit in the combat zone and not hurt anybody. Still, we need to do something about all this stuff up here. So, I know what's here and here. I know those are skittering Xenomorphs, so we only have to spend 2 to scan this room. So let's scan the room and kill that skittering Xenomorph, I think. We go 2 and 5 is 7. You know what? I didn't draw the Synthetics new hand of 6. Oh, I think we just got bailed out. We also have the tech card that will allow us to scan a room for free, because we can piggyback on this one. But we have this coordinate card, find it and kill it, which is exactly what this is for. So we're going to use this. So he's going to use this, and we're going to go ahead and draw. Oh, there's another find and kill it. Of course, we can only use one coordinate on a turn, so this Synthetic can only do this once. So he's going to use that. That brings us from 7 to 9, so now we can really do some damage here. We can scan this room for 2. I don't have anything I can do with the recruitment points. There's only 2 here, so there's nothing I can do there. I can spend recruitment points here to take care of that. I feel like, you know what, now that we have 9, it might be good to scan the ventilation seal in case there's an opportunity for us to finish the second objective. If we scan it for 4, and it's something that's 5 or less to kill, then we could spend the 2 recruitment points to finish the second objective. I kind of like that idea. Why don't we do that? So we're going to spend 4 to scan the ventilation seal and see what's here. And it's an event. This is bad. This is what I've been trying to avoid all this time. This is bad in a number of ways. Let's go ahead and discard it because we don't need to keep it. The event for objective 2 is to have the next player discard 2 random cards from their hand. So we're going to do that first, and then we get to do what I feared we would have to do next. So now it says random, so we're going to have to shuffle his cards. Right now he's got a lot of nice cards. Since this card is already been played as a copy, we don't have to worry about that one. The good thing though is that the ventilation seal is clear. So we're going to be able to complete objective 2 no matter what. So I'm going to draw, let's see, 1 here. And oh, I don't know, 1 here. So there's the 2 random cards we're taking out of the Synthetic's hand. And they just get discarded, but it sucks to lose them. Oh, and we lost the 2 really awesome ones. So we lost it to Damn Robot, and we lost Find It and Kill It. 2 really solid cards. So if they go to the discard pile, he's only going to have 4 cards left, and he doesn't have the ability anymore to scan a room for free. So that really has hurt him. We've triggered the event. That was it for the event. However, any cards that have an event trigger on them, that have the keyword event in red, they now need to be resolved. Guess what? The egg in the combat zone has that event on it. This is what I feared would happen, but now we get to see an example of this happening. We have to kill this egg and put a face hugger from the hatchery in front of the scout. So we're going to do that. So the egg dies. We take a face hugger from the hatchery. We put it in front of the scout. The scout is now under assault. The face hugger hasn't lashed itself onto his face yet, so it has an opportunity to be killed. And so we have a very brief period in which to do it. We have until the end of the scout's turn to take care of it, or if he can't take care of it by the end of his turn, we have till the end of the Synthetic's turn to get rid of it. Well, since we're going to be able to finish objective 2, I say we go ahead and spend some of our attack points. So we had 9 here. We had 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We spent 4, we have 5 attack left. Let's use 3 of the remaining 5 to immediately kill this facehugger so we don't have to worry about it. So it goes in the dead enemies pile over here, in the discard pile. So, unfortunately, that was a little damper on the fun, wasn't it? That leaves us with 2. So we had 9, we spent 4, we spent another 3, we're down to 2. So with 2 remaining attack, we can scan another room, or we can immediately deal with that ventilation seal. Here's the downside of dealing with that ventilation seal. we're going to do it anyway, but the downside is that it shrinks the size of the complex. What's going to happen is the hive deck is going to move on top of here, and no longer will there be hive cards pulled from here. Or no longer will hive cards come from here to here. The complex will shrink to only having 4 spaces in it. This has the effect of hastening things a little bit as we get into Objective 3, so this could get pretty crazy. So I think what we're going to do is leave the synthetic to deal with this hazard. Whatever's at the top card of the hive is going to come into the combat zone, and if it is an alien, then it will strike him and not strike the scout. We can keep the scout protected. The synthetic has 7 health and the scout has 6. So let's go ahead and spend our 2 recruitment points to block the ventilation shafts. And as it explained, we take the hive deck, the entire hive deck, and we're going to put it right here. We've now blocked the ventilation shafts. That completes Objective 2. So we have now blocked the ventilation shafts. We'll put Objective 2 over here in the discarded hazards and events pile. We'll save the remaining 2 attack. We can discard the coordinate card that the synthetic allowed us to use. That's it. We're going to conclude the scout's turn. We have moved on to Objective 3, which is a perfect organism. As Ash lovingly referred to it, the objective is to kill it. We have a new event. It's hunting us. We have to move the leftmost enemy or hidden card in the complex into the combat zone. So if the complex isn't even full, then if we hit an event, it's going to force us to take the leftmost card, whether it's an enemy or a hidden card, and move it into the combat zone. Now there's a card in the Objective 2 deck. We still haven't gotten through the Objective 2 deck, but there's a card in that deck that's not an enemy, so that wouldn't move into the combat zone. I think we're going to stop here. I just need to remember that it's the synthetic's turn coming up. Let's go ahead and build the scout's hand here. Scout didn't draw much. Oh, he got his own card. That's great. Alright. I think we're going to stop here. We've completed Objective 2 and we're on to Objective 3 here. So the scout and the synthetic did not take any damage during Objective 2, which is great. Unfortunately, the worst is yet to come. The cards in the Objective 3 hive deck are really bad. And the third hazard is there, which is also really bad, especially if it makes it to the combat zone. It is the self-destruct hazard, which could potentially kill both players and end the game prematurely. So we'll end here, and we'll proceed on to Objective 3 in the next video.